just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are in our faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are in our faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh, welcome to RenéMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm RenéMarie, and this is going to be a very interesting show because it's a show. I'm going to let Diane Holland share a little bit more about the group, but it's a group that supports seniors. And honestly, I'm a senior. I'm 62 years old, right? I'm a senior. I'm considered a senior, right? Aren't I a senior? Diane, aren't I considered a senior now? 62? Right? I'm 62. And I guess I say that because you would think that, seniors are like our grandparents, when we were younger, when I was younger. And seniors are they're living now, and they're living longer. And we really need a group of people to help us as we age, because we're living longer. So I'm really very grateful to Diane for putting this show together. And actually, I have to give gratis to John. He's on our board, and he ran the Elmwood Park event. This is my fourth year, I think, going. This will be my fourth year doing it, and I sing. And Diane came up to me and she shared something which I'm going to allow her to share again, just so everybody can know our connection. But she said that many years ago, I went over to her house on this journey, and it's incredible the way the full circle moments that you have. And then I'll let everybody share what they're doing, and we'll have a really interesting conversation about how seniors need to be supported and how they help us, and really the caring way they do it. I'm just really happy and really honored to have this opportunity to talk to everybody on this show. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're really happy. You can unmute yourselves, everyone, if that's okay. Is everyone on? Yes, Diane. Okay. So Diane, unmute yourself and tell us how this came about, and tell us the name of the organization, and tell a little bit about the story about how we met.
Well, I guess starting on how we met is somehow we connected probably 15 years ago, and you came over to my house and you discussed your whole entire history about having a stroke while you were playing softball. And you told me the story, and you told me about, singing, and that you wanted to start a foundation to help people with aphasia. And I am a physical therapist and a wound care specialist. And I was telling you my dreams of helping people that have had stroke as well as other disabilities with improving their mobility. And I wanted to start something. I kind of finally got to where I think you'll hear the company I work for, MedFirst Home Care, and it's doing exactly what I want to do. It took a while to get where I am, but I'm here now. And the Senior Alliance Group is a group of individuals that met probably a year and a half ago, and it's been growing. And it's a group of different organizations, Senior Helpers, Home at Last, FT Mobility is not represented today. My preferred organizer is, and they will talk, everybody will talk about the Senior Alliance Group. But the Senior Alliance Group is, we meet monthly to discuss ways that we can outreach to the community and how we can educate. And when I need something, say a podiatrist that goes to the house, I call Megan or Jane, her mother, and she's a nurse, and I'll say, I need, one of my patients needs a podiatrist that comes to the house, and they live in Alpine. Who do you know? And we give information and help each other, which is what the Senior Alliance Group has been built on.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, I know, and honestly, I'm just putting two and two together. Diane has a senior group as well. She's on my board. So, and listen, I believe there's plenty out there that you need to have a lot of options in life. There's a lot of needy people out there. So I honestly appreciate you coming on, Diane, and sharing the information. So tell us sorry, going to take a step back. Let me start with Melissa. Melissa, share with us how you do, because you organize, right? You do organization. I read that in your bio to me. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you help the seniors.
Sure. So my name is Melissa. I own My Preferred Organizer. And what we do is the process works the same no matter who we're helping in terms of decluttering a space, categorizing your items, and then finding a system that's maintainable. And so the way that it primarily works for seniors is we're trying to foster peace and productivity for them for as long as possible, before they end up in a situation or a place like assisted living. We try to keep them in their homes for as long as possible by creating systems that allow that independence. So going through their medications, making sure that there are none that are expired, making them easily accessible for them. If there's a lot of stuff on the floor or in corners or in walkways, removing that clutter so that there's not any fall risks.
Right.
In the bathrooms, making sure that the bathroom, by the shower, by the toilet, by the sink, that there's nothing in the way. As seniors get older, they're at risk for falling. And so we want to minimize that risk as much as possible by decluttering and organizing their home so that they have that independence for as long as they possibly can, in a way that's functional and very clear for them. We'll label things, we'll make sure that they can see it, they know where it is, they can put it back. And so that's primarily what we do in our business.
And you know, if somebody's got a wheelchair or a walker, it's really important to have everything out of the way, because you have to set your house up differently when you get to that age that you need to have those items. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So Brad, welcome.
Thank you.
Brad hopped in as we were streaming on. Tell me a little about yourself. I didn't get a chance to talk to you in the Zoom green room.
Brad Haberlin, Legacy Mortgage Group. I'm newer to the organization, Senior Alliance Group. I'm happy to be a part of it. They have a very good platform, a lot of good people working for the for the organization. A lot of good companies that are all out for the best interests of the consumer, which is good to see. On the mortgage side, we could offer, reverse mortgages, cash out refinances, things like that. We're finding that I think it's like 70% of home ownership is owned by Gen X or baby boomers, and a stat said that 32% in this market, if they were to retire today, would want to stay in their current home due to increased home prices and interest rates. So, and the increase in equity gives them plenty of equity to do a reverse mortgage and stay in their home for a longer period of time. There's a lot of myths and misconceptions about the reverse mortgage, that you lose your house and everything like that. So we educate, we debunk a lot of the myths about that. And we were actually also the #1 VA lender in the state of New Jersey last year, and we had the #1 VA mortgage advisor on our team as well. And in conjunction with what with what Megan can provide education to the veterans of the free benefit that they get a certain amount of hours free, and so on and so forth. It would be beneficial for them to stay in their home as well if they can offset some of that cost of the in-home care with some benefits that they don't even know about.
Wow. Now, Brad, I have a question for you because I had a friend that had a reverse mortgage. If you go through all the money, what do you have to do? What do you have to do? You have to get out of the house, or
No, so what happens is if you stay in that house and like you said, people are living longer these days. So if you get into a reverse mortgage and you accumulate, you burn through all the equity and you accumulate another $1 million in interest on top of what the home value is, the bank only gets what the house is worth once it sells. It's a non-recourse loan, so that additional interest that's accrued does not go and eat away any other assets of the estate. It doesn't get passed on to the next of kin. It just gets absorbed by the bank. So if your house is worth $500,000, you do a reverse mortgage, and you say you only owe 200 on it, so there's $300,000 there. You burn through the 300 and you live another 10 years, and now there's another $200,000 of interest on there. You pass away, your estate sells the house, sells it for 500, the bank gets 500, and the 200,000 goes away. Nobody ever has to be accountable for that fund.
wow, that's incredible. That's comforting to know, right? That I mean, you can pass away or live the remainder of your years in your home. Not better than, because sometimes people need added help that they can't get in their homes. And we always make sure that everybody knows that. I had a friend on the show one time, and she said, my mother is not going to a rehab. She's not going to a rehab, and not a rehab, but an assisted living home. And eventually she did have to go because they could provide the necessity and really care for her more than she could at home. So sometimes it's a balance, but that's very interesting that you don't have to, sell your home if you have the option not to. That's very interesting.
And the other thing is if you pass away before the equity is absorbed, that still goes to your estate. So if the house is worth 800, you get a reverse mortgage, and there's only $500,000 on the note now. That $300,000 would still go to your estate. So your children and your next of kin would still get their inheritance.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. That's very helpful. Thank you so much. So Megan, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and you're part of this team.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm so happy to be a part of this team because, as you can see, all of these resources, when we get a phone call, they don't necessarily need one of us. They need a whole host of things, right? These families are navigating very stressful situations. So that's one of the reasons why when we all met, it's important. I never want to hang up the phone. I always want to give somebody, who could they turn to get what they need. And eventually, it all comes back and it lands in everyone's, any one of these businesses that we work with in the Senior Lines Group.
Right.
But I work with the company I work for is Senior Helpers. We are a home care agency, and I'm responsible for Bergen County, but we are a franchise, so we're in over 300 locations. So anytime a family calls us as well, if I can't help them in my county, at least I can direct them. A lot in Florida need help. So it's also nice because we have a lot of people that move back and forth between Florida and New Jersey, and it's that nice continuity of care where they know that the company that they're working with. So we provide care wherever a senior may call home. So whether they want to stay at home and age in place, if appropriate, we can help them there. Whether they live in independent living, assisted living, they're in the hospital and need some sitter services, we can help there. We really can provide services wherever a senior may need help. So we specialize in Alzheimer's and dementia. Brad touched on the veterans piece. That's very important in education that I'm trying to get out to the community, but we are a VA provider. So not many agencies have that, but we do. And what that means is veterans can get free services paid for through the veterans to help them at home. So we try to work with them and facilitate that process with the veterans offices to let them know that, and they deserve these services. So that's another piece of the business that I'm trying to get more education out, because this is expensive. You know, it's where, whether you, unfortunately, it's not covered by insurance. So if you have a long-term care policy, that will cover the services, but many don't. So it's private hourly pay. So anywhere we can help anybody at home and provide this education on what's available, we try to do that. We really go to market to be a resource. It's very,
Wow.
very important to the owners. That's what really drove me to get involved in this company. They really care. They have a big heart. And in this business, you should. These are people's lives. So it's really nice working with everybody here on the Alliance Group as well, because we all go to market the same way, with a big heart, caring for people.
Yeah, you have to have compassion in life.
You
You know,
do.
there's so
You
many
do.
people, and I'd love to hear in a little bit like where you all came from. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the people that I interview on the show, they had a family member that needed something, and they weren't able to access it, so they're like, I can't do this anymore. We have to make a difference. So they
Right.
just switched the whole life to help seniors and to help, you know, people that are ill, you know. So it's very, in a little bit we're gonna roll back a little bit, but
Great.
yeah, but let's let Dr. Scott talk. But Dr. Scott, feed into what you and Megan do before you share what you do, before I forget, or you could do it when you're done. About the movie, I think that's really an important piece that people would love to hear, because you know that's why I know, like, I sing. So I know that music is a different tactic to get people engaged in what you're doing, and to really bring them hope and to bring them joy and to uplift them. When you hear music, you get into a different mind frame. You're not like sitting there just being educated. You're really lifted, and you're enjoying the moments. And then it's more like they're more open to hear the information that's provided to them, and we try to help them to under, you know, with information about stroke, speed, fast, and aphasia and all that kind of stuff. So I know that the movie is probably and not a tactic, but a way to get the residents, what what kind of residents were they? I forgot.
So
Dementia.
yes, we
Dementia.
specialize in Alzheimer's and dementia. So we sit on a board for North Jersey Villages. So essentially, group of people trying to help people age at home safely and provide all the resources that are available. So through that, we've launched a dementia-friendly movie series.
Wow.
So it allows dementia patients, along with their caretakers, come enjoy a movie in a setting that is comfortable for them. So
That's
our
so
next one is
incredible.
actually this week. Yeah, it's really been a great series. It's very it's been nice to see them enjoy a
Yeah.
movie that is comfortable for them in a
Yeah.
surrounding that's comfortable as well.
Yeah, because you know life is hard. So it's when you get those glimpse of hope and enjoyment, you really have to capture them. It's
Absolutely.
yeah. Dr. Scott, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. No, I was going to say that unfortunately, the dementia Alzheimer's population is sort of the forgotten few, even though it's a incredibly increasing number of people that are being inflicted with this terrible disorder and disease process that is progressive, and it's very hard on their families as well as, of course, the person themselves. So what North Jersey Villages provides is that support as well as a social activity that they can enjoy, the person and their family, to do something they haven't done in years, right? That is safe and accommodating for their disability. So it's a wonderful thing to be part of it. Of course, this is brand new. We just did it at the theater in Washington Township. And we're always looking for a new venue to have it in a real old school movie theater, which unfortunately is kind of a dying breed. As you know, you go through most towns in Bergen County and their movie theaters have closed. Like I live in Ridgewood, and we unfortunately lost ours about a year and a half ago.
I know, but Hawthorne has a movie theater.
Yes, we're actually looking into that one as one of the
Yes.
And they're
venues.
very nice. They're very
Oh,
kind.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
Washington Township is super, and they were
Yeah.
really accommodating. So This is really a great activity. I'm also certified in dementia and Alzheimer's care through PESI Rehab. And I did that not as a chiropractic physician, but being in part of the senior living industry to understand what people and what their families go through on a regular basis. And I've actually talked at different senior living communities that have memory care units to educate the support group really for folks that may consider moving into a senior living community that can accommodate it. And one thing that one point I always try to drive home is that the disease is progressive. However, the sooner you get help, the better it is because it actually slows the progression of the disease. And that's very important. Some people try to go it alone. They try to just wait, but really they're doing a disservice to themselves and to that person that needs that care. And these memory units in these different senior living communities, they know how to handle it. They have the specialists, they have the trained professionals that even a loved one at home cannot do. So, it's very important. So I try to get that information out to them, and North Jersey Villages is doing a great job too with this activity as well as others that we're going to bring to the Bergen County area at large. So it's really,
Where is that located? The North Jersey
well,
Village?
we're out of Glen Rock, but we're basically all of Bergen County pretty much. So, and it is a nonprofit. It is, Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a national or it's a statewide
Hmm?
organization, right? So
Correct.
there's different chapters. We happen to be the North Jersey chapter. So, but with that being said, it's always been a pleasure of mine to be part of our Senior Alliance group, which we formed about a year and a half ago with professionals that are trusted in Bergen County and other parts of New Jersey. And I know that I can trust my colleagues in this group that if I have to refer them, they're going to do the right thing by a
Right.
client. Because, let's face it, when we're talking about seniors, it's a fragile situation, no matter the degree. And look, a lot of people want to stay at home. And I understand that and I get that. And there is a certain point where that's no longer a possibility because home is no longer accommodating. It could be dangerous. And also, there's just not the care there that may be needed. And they may need to go into a senior living community. That's where my company, Home at Last, will help the seniors and their families because 90% of them need the equity in their homes to afford long-term care.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not many people nowadays have those wonderful long-term care insurance plans that will cover 10, 20, and let's face it, on the low end, we're talking about $8,000 to $10,000 a month per
I
person.
know. It's crazy.
And then on the high end, like 2025, I mean, right now, just to give an example, we're helping a family in West Milford, husband and wife. The wife had severe dementia, and their bill is almost about $25,000 a month for the two of
Oh my
them.
God. How could you
So,
afford that? I mean, that's just like
yeah, well,
astronomical to me. And those that can, it's wonderful. But it breaks my heart that people that can't, what do they do? What do they do?
right. Well, that's where we come in to help them tap into that resource, their biggest, which is the home.
Home.
And whether they're going into a CCRC or they're going into assisted living or they're going to memory care, whatever type of senior living that they would be going to, it's obviously very helpful to get the equity out of their home to afford it. Even if it's a spend down situation where they would get to a Medicaid level, we will help assist in that whole process. And like you said, a lot of people don't have the funds, and if they do have them, they run out of them very quickly. So this family in West Milford happens to be running out of their money, but fortunately, we're buying the home from them, and they're going to have a nice big chunk of change to continue to live at this senior living community until they spend down. And look, we can never predict how long people are going to live for, correct? So it's just a matter of how they can afford it for a time being. And really, Medicaid is the largest payer of long-term care. A lot of people have the misconception that Medicare
So
believe it or not,
Medicaid, just because I'm not good with this,
sure.
Medicaid is what comes from this government, or Medicare comes from the government? What, I mean, we pay into it. We pay into, we're Social Security, right? We pay
Right.
into, and
Medicare is really for health purposes, meaning that, you get to a point where your health insurance is Medicare dependent, and that will pay for a stint in the hospital,
okay,
a short stay in, say, a rehab. But for long-term care, it's Medicaid, which really is when you get to a certain financial level. I hate saying the word poverty, but when you
yeah,
get to a certain
yes,
level
yeah,
where
yeah.
you really have no funds, and then yes, it is government backed. They're actually going to be flipping the bill for that person to live in a senior living community. But that, believe it or not, is the more common scenario than private insurance or whatever. But we just try to help people any way we can to bridge the gap, and we will help them by buying their home for them as is, or we rehab the house and then we can help them sell it because we're a broker in New York and New Jersey. So I'm more of the senior living industry end of things. My partner Jeff Friedman is the realtor, and I've had a lot of experience in senior living industry because initially I was a chiropractic physician. I probably had maybe the only practice in a senior living community in Oyster Bay, Long Island, which is unusual because most healthcare facilities in communities are PT, OT base, SLP. I had a chiropractic practice for a couple of years in a senior living community, so I have a lot of experience dealing with the seniors on the healthcare level. And then I was a senior move manager, like what Melissa is with my preferred organizer, and I did that for a couple of years. So I bring a lot of experience with senior living.
You know what, you know what I'm thinking while you're talking is, like this, the home is really your main base, right? Your main, it's going to get you when you're turned to it, be a senior and you need help, really your home is going to be your equity,
Right.
and, and yes, you have to save, and some people can't save. And my father always taught me, always pay your car, always pay your mortgage. He told me that they can turn off the lights and they'll go back on.
Right.
But, once they take your home away, once they take your car away, you can't go out and do things.
Yeah.
And
Right.
what I'm thinking is, like, it would really be very important for you to go to high schools and to colleges to let people, to let kids know, to train kids, like to inform kids, like, you got to set yourselves up. You have to set yourselves up because you get to this point in your life where you need help and you got to have a resources to do it. That's what's coming to me while you're talking about it.
Well, just to sum it up, Ray, is that our group, Senior Alliance Group, is wonderful because it has options for people, and we are a wealth of resources. So whether it's Brad helping people stay aging in place to get the money they need to stay there, or say senior helpers where they can help staff a person that could help take care of the person while they stay at home, or someone like Diane with MedFirst that has the durable medical equipment that they may require either at home or in a senior living community. And we have even a great moving company, Top Notch, that deals a lot with seniors. They know the fragility of the situation, and they do a wonderful job of moving people physically into senior living communities, or even if it was into a private home, whatever it is. But we also have FT Mobility, which has vehicles, or they customize vehicles to actually accommodate wheelchairs and so forth. We have a wealth of resources to help folks and their families at whatever stage they're at, whether it's at home or moving and transitioning. We have pretty much, we have it all, I think.
Yeah, that's an incredible group. So I really want to go to your history. Like, what brought you to do what you're doing? That's because it showcases how passionate you are about why you're doing it and the reason behind it. So Diane, if you don't mind, like, I know you shared a little bit, how we met and what you were trying to achieve, but talk to us, all of you, talk to us about that journey getting to where you are today.
Well, when I was in high school, my grandfather lived with us, and he had a stroke He lived to be 98 years old.
Wow.
And he also had rotator cuff injury. Um, and I had the physical therapist came to visit him when I was in high school. So when I was making a decision to go to college, I decided to go to physical therapy school. And actually, that's where I met my husband, who is also a physical therapist. I became a wound. I worked at a variety of hospitals, and I saw people developing pressure ulcers, and they could have been easily prevented. And I
What's a
started,
pressure ulcer?
it's so now called a pressure injury, but for example, if you have a total hip replacement and your foot is on the bed, you can land up with a sore because you're not able to lift your foot, and you can easily develop a sore that can go to the bone.
Right.
And so I started educating myself in positioning techniques. And to this day, 35 years later, I'm still seeing the same issues happen. And where if people are properly positioned, they won't develop a pressure sore, because if you develop a sore on your heel, then you're not going to be able to walk on it very well for a couple of months, and that's going to delay your recovery.
Hmm.
Case in point, we have a person, one of our clients at Cedar Crest Assisted Living or Independent Living, and she fell and fractured her leg, and she's in rehab now. And I said to her, I said, keep an eye on your heels and your bottom. I said, I don't want you to land up with a sore because she has Parkinson's disease,
Right.
and it
Right.
would really delay her healing. So even though I work at MedFirst and I work for a company, I'm able to incorporate my knowledge of being a wound care specialist.
Wow.
I've been a wound care specialist now for 30 years
Wow.
into really trying to prevent the wounds from happening in the first place. So the passion developed there. And then I needed equipment. Like, for example, you needed special heel offloading boots to get the heel off the bed, or at least a really good pillow. And so what happened was, products became very important to me, and that's how I got involved in the durable medical equipment. I had a lot of products in the back of my house. Whenever I got a phone call, somebody was developing a pressure injury or a pressure wound. I'm
Wow.
like, I have something for you. Let's get it under you right away, because a pressure injury is almost like a heart attack to the skin, and you have to really, really act quickly within the first hours to reverse it, just like a heart attack.
Right.
And
Right.
so now at MedFirst, I have my toolbox is the store. If somebody calls me and says, their family member is developing a wound, all I have to do is go to the store and say, I need this product. Can we rent it to them for a couple of weeks until they get their own through Medicare?
Right. That's awesome.
So
That's
it's just,
awesome.
that's how the passion sort of rolled on. And I love being a physical therapist, but I love being able to help people more.
Yeah, but you had to go that journey to get to where you are, So that's the incredible thing is, you follow the steps. Everything we learn in life, we don't like we always try to teach kids like if you get a job, just take that job. There's so many things you can learn from each place you're in. And you may meet somebody at that job that will get you to the next job that like it's a step. What's the book Celestine Prophecies? I don't know if anybody ever read it, but it's a great book and it talks about the steps and the journey on the road. So it's pretty awesome. Melissa, tell us how you got into this passionate field.
Sure. So for me, organizing has always been just within me. It's either something that you have or you don't have, I think. And so I actually went to school for finance, completely different from what I'm currently doing now. And but like I said, it's always been something that I've enjoyed doing. So when a friend of mine opened her own business, I was thinking of ideas on what I can do to open my own business. And so this was something that I wanted to do 11 years ago when I was pregnant with my son that I just never did.
Right.
And I worked in the field that I went to school for. And one day, after having that conversation with my friend, I decided to see where this can go. And fortunately, thank God it's worked out where I am now working for myself full time, providing this service for others.
Wow.
And it's been so rewarding to see that, you know, God has given me a gift that allows me to help so many different kinds of people, working moms, single moms, elderly families, adult children that are trying to help their parents that are not in the area. I mean, you name it, anybody can benefit from this service if they, you know, allow themselves to not feel the pressure or the embarrassment or the overwhelm of all of it, because it can be an overwhelming process, which is why it's so rewarding when people do ask for help, that we're there to provide that for them. Because the best part for me in all of it is getting to see the transformation in this space. So you get to a space, it's very overwhelming most times because people have a lot of stuff that they really have a hard time letting go of. And when we're able to create that space to be organized and peaceful, because it affects your mental health as well. So
Right.
I'll speak for myself and my own experience. Every time I go to bed at night, I straighten up my house so that in the morning I'm not feeling overwhelmed. I leave to go on vacation and my home looks like nobody's ever lived in it. You know,
Can I
because
ask you something before? Like what I'm thinking is like, and I know in a feng shui and a clearing your path kind of way, it really helps you to set your life up. Because if your bed isn't made in the morning and you're just walking out and dishes in the sink, that's another thing. Like I know from, you know, trying to clear my paths. That's
right.
one of the things that I always try to do, is to make my bed when I get up and wash my dishes, and, you know, keep my house organized, and for 15 minutes a day to you know, do this space. And, you know, before the show, I went down and did my laundry, like I always, because, you know, you don't have time if you wait. So if you just take that time, but I know that a lot of people, especially seniors, they don't have the resources, they don't have the strength to do it. So you're doing a wonderful thing.
Yeah, so actually one of the things that we're trying to work on is figuring out how we can get these services paid for seniors that don't have those resources through the state. So I know that they do this for people with disabilities. We are part of that program where people with disabilities have an opportunity for the state to pay for my services. I've had a client who had disabilities and the state paid for it. And
Wow.
so my husband and I, my business partner, he is the one that helps me in terms of the network relationships and
Right.
things of that nature. And him and I are really trying to figure out how to offer these services for seniors, for the ones that don't have the resources, because, you know, it is an investment in your home because it affects so much. And a lot of people, you know, the reality is that it's a service that everybody needs, but not everybody has the funds to be able to have
Yeah,
some.
that's the last thing. If you ask me, I mean, you know, if you ask somebody, it's food on the table. It's, you know, my medical bills. I got to pay my medical bills. I can't keep my house clean too. You know what I'm saying? So if I had to choose, I'd choose the food and the medical bills before keeping my house clean. So that's awesome that you're looking into resources. Did anybody ever did anyone ever meet Tracy Lawrence? She was a big Bergen County. She passed away at COVID, but she had grand family planning, and she used to talk to me about all this stuff as well. So it's very interesting that you're bringing it to the table, and you're trying to go above and beyond. It's not like I have this business, let me just provide it to them. You're like, I have this business, but people can't afford it. Like, and that's the gift. The gift is, let's see if we can get it paid. Let's see if we can get it paid. So if they got it paid one time, how how did that work? Like, and how do you make that something that can be all the time? Or if
So
you
I
have
think
charge
I think it
service?
depends on what the state is willing to entertain. I'll speak on the experience that I have having worked with the DDD, which is the Department of Developmental Disabilities, and they provided the initial service And then she got it approved within her budget for me to come back every 6 weeks to maintain this space. So you actually made a great point, Renee, which was taking that couple of minutes each day to maintain that space. And so I tell all of my clients, seniors or not, everybody that I work with, because I, as well as everybody that's on this call, are in business to help people, which is why we
Right.
go above and beyond,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so I'm not going to work with a client and take their money and not set them up for success. The
Right.
success
Right.
for me is telling them, hey guys, it takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes in order to be able to maintain your space. It is about taking that couple of minutes to put your item back to make sure that you don't find yourself in the same situation in a very short period of time. I mean, doing laundry can get you back to where you were prior to me getting there. So for the people that don't necessarily have the money to afford it, if they were able to do a little bit at a time and then take those couple extra minutes to maintain that system, it is possible that they can do it on their own as well.
Yeah, yep, I agree. I agree. But then there's that, that small percentage that just doesn't have the physical capabilities
Right.
or, to do it. But, so that's a gift. What I'm thinking is maybe you should get in touch with a senator or congressman to really, once you get, and I know I need to do this as well for my organization, but honestly, not my issue. I don't want to speak in negative terms, but the problem with me is I don't have the time. I'm doing so many things and operating. I mean, Diana's been a gift and John's been a gift and Ginny's been a gift in Long Island, everybody doing their thing, but there's not enough time in the day. But, we need to, if you get a congressman or senator or assemblyman, like as as an advocate for you, it will make the transition a little bit easier. To make the transition a little bit easier. And there was a gentleman that he was in New York that I spoke to. He was the budgeting finance for the health department. You should reach out to them in New Jersey as well. Just some my thought processes. Because because you guys are, with the way you're talking, all of you is so passionate that you just get engaged. You want to help people, and I think that just meet with them. They'll help you. They'll help you. They'll help you change it. They'll help you change it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Brad, tell us a little bit how you got into what you're doing. What was your journey before leading up to it?
Yeah, I was light years away from even being involved in something like this. Like you touched on it and you articulated it pretty well. The journey is important, and life is all about building relationships. And in every situation, every job, everything that you do, you should always take the good and bad out of it. But there's always something that you can extract out of that. And even with my company, most of the things that work very well in my company were traumas in other companies, because I'm like, I will not do that at my company. You know what I mean? So, and I've met a lot of great people along the way. So I was actually a state corrections officer. I worked in a prison in Galway. And because of that, I got into mixed martial arts and competitive fighting. And I met Dave from Top Notch at my boxing gym. And I met Chip and Melissa through my church. And I was like, Dave, you're a mover. Chip, Melissa, you guys are organized. You guys can work in conjunction with each other pretty well. So I linked them up, and they started, doing well and having a relationship. And then they got formed with Senior Alliance Group, and they were like, "Hey, listen, you're a very ethical person. You're always looking out for the best interests of other people. You be an asset to the group because the people that we service can utilize your services in some capacity." So I met with them a couple times, and I love them all, and it worked out well. So now we're working with each other. So.
That's awesome. So how did it like, what was it like to go to work when you worked in a jail? It's got to be mentally challenging.
Yeah, it's so we go to the academy. State corrections go to the academy in Seager, down to the State Police Academy. So we live there. You're there Monday through Friday. You go home on the weekends. It's not like a county or local where you go home every day. So the first class that they taught in the academy was the life expectancy of a corrections officer was 56 years old. and they have the highest suicide, alcoholism, and domestic violence rate out of any law enforcement professional. And you're like, oh no, two people walked out there, they quit right there. So we're like, no way. But while I was going through and out my career, I was going to many funerals of officers that, unfortunately committed suicide, or back in the day when we would get hurt, doctors would just write you painkiller scripts. A lot of guys would get addicted to the painkillers and stuff. And then, that turned into a slippery slope of addiction and everything. So, you're seeing these guys, in their 30s and 40s that are passing away, and you check. So you're pretty much locked up too, because we have to check our gun and our phone at the door. We can't bring any of that in. And I was a tier cop, so I was 90. It was 92 inmates and me, and the only thing I have is a radio. We can't have a weapon. We can't have a baton. Back then, now they have OC, but they didn't even have OC when I was working back then. So you're pretty much, and you have to, you form a very big brotherhood of your fellow officers, because you guys have to have each other's backs. You guys always have to be looking out for each other. So, veteran community, law enforcement community, you find that brotherhood like that. So, I did develop a lot of good relationships and friends through it, but it is a tough job. I don't recommend it. If you're going to get into it, use it as a stepping stone to get somewhere on the street or something like that. But it's a toxic environment.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I believe you are who you surround yourself with, right? So that the energy, the mindset, you can't help it. You can't help it. But my question to you is there a group like this to support those individuals that are doing the work? Because it needs to be done. It's not like not like we could just do away with it. We can't fire them all, So, I mean, is there a group like this that shows them all the support? Is there anything set up like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the guys that are like having each other's backs. Somebody's passed away or family, the guys rally, support. We do fundraisers. We do golf outings, beefsteaks, stuff like that. My partner, actually, I got into a fight with an inmate, and the guy had like 20 decks of heroin on him, and I broke my hand in a couple places, tore my knee and ankle up, and my partner actually he had spinal fusion surgery from the pileup, and he wound up passing away like 3 months later in his sleep. And we started a foundation for his kids. We were doing beefsteaks and fundraisers and stuff like that. So stuff like that we do, but an actual support organization group or anything like that, there's not really anything like that. No, unfortunately.
Wow. It's so sad. That's something they need to think about it. Maybe you could set one up. Maybe you could set something up. It's important. It's important. Thank you so much, Brad. Megan, did I ask you to share? I didn't ask you to share.
No, that's okay. I'm up.
You're next, and then Dr. Scott.
Great. So I went to school for business, studied, and one day always dreamed of having my own business, but hit the ground running after graduation. And really, to your point, and again, and Brad touched on it, you articulated well that it is your journey and who you meet. So I took one of the first positions, was actually an executive assistant, and got in with a company and just learned really quickly that I loved working with people, and selling was my strong point. So worked at a lot of in corporate America for a good portion of my career, but was traveling a lot. So I was on airplanes very frequently. And when I started a family, I realized that's not really going to work for my family. I wanted to be around my children. My husband's actually in law enforcement as well, so his schedule was very hectic, and we wanted someone stable to be home with the kids and raise our family. So I took a little bit of time off to raise my family, and actually the person I work with and got me involved at Senior Helpers is my mother. She's been in the nursing field for over 40 years. She worked for this company, let me know there was an opportunity, come meet the owners and learn about this position. My initial, my knee-jerk reaction was healthcare. I'm not sure, but once I met the owners and realized what a big heart both of them really had, and selling is really, to me, about relationship building and doing what you say you're going to do. And here I am, almost 7 years later, with this company and working still with my mother, who was one of the
Wow.
nurses on our business. And so I've always really been exposed with her being in nursing, helping people, and that's important to me. So,
Wow.
and I think that that's really, to me, the core of selling. You have to care. The person working with you has to trust you. These are people's lives, and I really enjoy it. And I love meeting people along the way, people who I work with here in the Senior Alliance group, just to see everybody really has a big heart, cares for these people, and we want to make sure that we're helping along the way. Because there's so many different things to navigate, especially in the senior space when, there's things aren't going the way that you always want them to when you're aging, and we're all here to help them.
Wow, that's incredible. And you all are very people oriented, all of you. You're just very compassionate and really easy to talk to. Because, sometimes I do a show and it's like you have to drag things, and it's like, what are we gonna we have like 10 more minutes, or I don't even know, but 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, 5 more minutes. So anyway, so like it's like, you have to drag, but you're really compassionate and passionate about what you do and share your stories and I'm learning, I should say, is it takes you to share a little bit more about yourself. And I do it on the show so well, but when I'm singing I don't do it so well because I'm always like my reaction is to just sing like like I mean, when I've sang at many assisted livings and I used to sing every holiday at Preakness Healthcare, which I love. Lucinda Corrado, she's just an incredible individual, and she invited me to sing there, and I'd sing on the Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving and all the major holidays. I sang there, and it would take me a good 45 minutes to really lift them up, because they come from the rooms and they're kind of like in a quiet more space. And and the reason I share that is because now in this concert I'm trying to, I made a PowerPoint presentation and I'm bringing in my stories about my history and my childhood and how it feels to have a stroke and what I've learned. And so I'm combining that with my singing. It's not so much about singing because I need to get people to understand and why I'm doing it,
Right.
and I'm doing it because this happened, not just because, it's a little blip, so you guys are all incredible. You're incredible. Dr. Scott, tell us a little bit how you navigated. And I know you are a chiropractor. What did you grow up doing? Why did you become a chiropractor?
I've always had a passion for natural healing from a very young age, and I did come out of college undecided. And believe it or not, my first job was in real estate. I got my real estate salesperson
Wow,
license,
that's
which
funny. You're going round circle.
yeah, kind of. And it was challenging, especially coming fresh out of college, but wasn't paying bills, wasn't getting me where I wanted to go. It was a very poor market. Of course, I'm going to kind of sort of reveal my age because this was in the early 90s when the market was really, really tough. So I went from that into the restaurant business, and I was a bartender, waiter, bar manager, and that put money in my pocket. So I did that for a few years until chiropractic found me, which it usually does. And not many people
Yeah,
wake up or from a very young age say, "Oh, I want to be a chiropractor," unless maybe they were lucky enough to actually get chiropractic care from being a child.
right.
So, and really, it's a very small part of the population. It's like 6% roughly sees a chiropractor. So it's not as common as people think. But anyhow, my mom, long story short, threw out her back, and my dad and I brought her to this chiropractor that performed miracles and got her back on her feet in a very short period of time, naturally, without drugs, without surgery. And so I was like, oh, you know what? This is really cool. And I always had I guess, a secret fantasy to be some sort of a doctor, something in health. And that's how it all started. And I went back to school. I had to go back to school for a full year, take all those great sciences that I just loved,
I could never be a
chemistry,
doctor. I was not
physics,
good at science.
and really, let me tell you, organic chemistry, that's the killer. That's what separates the boys from the men. You know, that one, if you can't get past that one, then you'll never be any kind of a doctor or a nurse or anything. So anyhow, I got through all that and loved practice. My greatest inspiration really has been my grandparents. I was very fortunate to have them most of my life already. I mean, I had them up into my early 50s.
Wow.
Not many people can say that. And of course, these are people from the World War II generation that is like no other. Their philosophy, the way they lived their life was truly inspiring to me. And fortunately for my children who got to experience them as well, they had their great grandparents up to their teenage years. So I was very lucky and they inspired me, especially to work with seniors, and they were very strong. I mean, they are an enigma because they lived up until my grandfather was 96 when he passed. My grandma was 94, and this was only 3 years ago. Um, but they lived independently. They never had any type of long-term care at
Right.
home, in a community, nothing. Okay. But once again, they're the extreme minority. Over
Yeah.
70% of people after the age of 65 require some type of long-term care, whether it's at home or in a community. So most of us need to prepare, and really it's about prevention, and that's, as a chiropractor, always been my philosophy, right? We're really a prophylactic as opposed to wait till something happens and then you got
Right.
problems.
Right.
And
Right.
that's really the best way to get chiropractic or even to perform it. And senior living industry, the same thing, is really planning and preventing things before they happen. Unfortunately, Renee, you know, so many people get into a crisis and now they're in crisis mode, and that's not fun for anyone,
No.
especially for the
No.
seniors and their families. So I'm really all about prevention, and really what's inspired me, especially in the senior living industry, is having worked with a lot of geriatric patients over the years, helping them also with their health, and then helping families transition from their private homes into some sort of senior living. So that's my passion, and really my grandparents were my greatest driving force. And
Wow.
you know, like I said, though, they're the exception to the rule. They're not the norm. You know, and as people, like you said, are living longer, and that's great. You know, but because of that fact, you know, and we're going to see a lot of people hitting that century mark. I mean, that's increasing.
Yeah.
I remember when people would hit 90, it was like, oh my God, 90, that was such a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
That's now nothing. 90 is that's very common nowadays. You go to a lot of 90 birthday parties.
Yeah.
100, that's the new mark, and we're going to see a lot more of that. So we need more resources, and as the baby boomers age, it's going to increase tremendously. So we actually are in a field that is really in need of what we offer as a group and
Yeah.
you know, as an industry. So it's a great, you know, to be part of this now. You know, I feel like I'm riding the wave. It's great.
That's good. That's good. You know, I wish there was a terminology that we could come up with rather than seniors. Because when you say seniors, it's so it's like a finale, right? It's like, you know, this is the end of your life. We really have to come up with, you know, wisdom. You know, people of age are, you know, they're wise, and just I'm just saying, like, that's just what's coming to me. I'm like, we have to
I
think.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree, Renee. I mean, privilege,
yeah,
really.
yeah. I
It's a
mean,
privilege.
my father used to own a deli in Hawthorne, Riverview T&A International Delights. Used to be in the old Frank's, across the street from the movie theater. And he used to, my father was an incredible individual, very loving, very compassionate. And he used to love to, we had an apartment building next to the store, and he used to love to walk the seniors home. They would live next door. And as they were walking, he talked to them. He loved to talk to them. And he would ask them, you know, how does it feel to be, you know, 80, 90 years old? And she goes, I feel the same as when I was 20. It's just my body can't keep up anymore, you know. And it's just they're so wise, and there's so much you can learn from them. And you know, like, so we gotta think about how to come up with a different terminology to refer to them, because I'm a senior too. I can't believe it. I mean, actually, I feel privileged to have gotten to this age. I mean, 62, I had a stroke at 26. I was on the softball field. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I went through rehabilitation. I mean, I'm blessed to be here, blessed to be able to talk, blessed to be able to sing, blessed to be able to speak clearly with all of you. But a lot of people, I'm blessed after 26. It's been at the age of 26 I had a stroke, and I suffered from aphasia, so I'm very fortunate. So every day is a gift. It's 11:15. I just want to give everybody the opportunity to really briefly to share, where you work again, your contact information, and if you have a last moment thought, just please provide it to us. Diane, why don't you go first?
Well, I work at MedFirst Home Care. It's located in Elmwood Park, 410 Market Street. They have a large showroom for people to come in and try equipment. The equipment is from lift chairs. There's all different sizes, so it's not one size fits all. So there is about 12 lift chairs in the showroom. There's special wheelchairs. There's regular wheelchairs, special rollators and walkers versus more complicated ones. There's power equipment, power wheelchairs that fold up like the size of a baby carriage that people can put in and out of the car. A lot of people go on cruises and rent from our place. So they do rentals. Hospital beds. There's so many different ones, from regular hospital bed to something that doesn't look like a hospital bed. When I have a family member, if they need a hospital bed, I don't want them to feel like they're in a hospital bed. And
Yeah.
MedFirst has an array of that as well. And again, I do home assessments for MedFirst. I'll go to people's homes and say, okay, this is a priority. This may be put on the back burner. I do fall safety assessments, and I am doing a wheelchair clinic, or I'm doing a wheelchair lecture at Arborview in Norwood on May 13th, and it's going to be for anybody that's in a wheelchair. How can we improve their positioning? There's some basic things that can be done to really improve the comfort of these individuals, because when you're in an assisted living and you need a wheelchair, you are in it probably 6 to 8 hours during the day.
Right.
So it's not like you're at home where you might be sitting in a recliner and using a wheelchair just to get to the bathroom. So that came through the Senior Alliance group. We had a pianist play during dinner at the Arborview, and people were coming up to us so happy. They loved it. And then I reached out to them to ask about the wheelchair positioning, because I noticed that there was an issue. And that's, again, 410 Market Street. People could just stop by or call MedFirst.
Okay, thank you. Is there a senior resource group website that you can go to find all of you, one place?
Usually right now we've been having people reach out to senior helpers with Megan, and she's been kind of then distributing any information to all of us.
But Renee, at this point, it's grassroots. So, stopping in, leaving a one pager, and having all of our names, our contact information, our company information. But we're working towards, getting a website up and running. But
Yeah, it's
for
easy.
now,
I mean, yeah, it would take, just so there's one place you can give
no, absolutely.
one email that you can go in and click and see everybody. So
Right. No, we're moving towards it.
yeah, Megan, while you're talking, you can give yours, and then we'll go to Melissa, and then Brad and Scott.
Sure. So I work for Senior Helpers. We're a home care agency providing care to wherever a senior may call home. We are a franchise, so we're located in over 300 locations. And what I'd like to highlight is how we are a VA provider, so we can help veterans get the care that they need at no cost to them. So that's really important to let everybody know. But we're located in Paramus. Senior Helpers of Bergen County can find us online. And I was really happy to be a part of this morning's podcast. So thank you for
Oh, you're
for
welcome.
allowing us to all discuss and talk about our services to help the senior community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Diane, for putting it together. Melissa?
Thank you, Renee. So my name is Melissa. I am the owner of My Preferred Organizer. We offer decluttering, organizing, packing, unpacking, senior move management. You can go to our website, www.mypreferredorganizer.com, for as much information as needed. We are on Instagram at My Preferred Organizer. You can email us, info at My Preferred Organizer. A lot of My Preferred here. We really are creating organized spaces for people to foster peace and productivity. And we are actually going to be on the news today from 9 to 12 on News Channel 12
Wonderful.
every 20-minute and 50-minute of the hour. So if you want to see a little spring cleaning segment, we are on there as well. So thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been a great experience.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. Brad? Really quick.
Yeah, Brad Haberlin, Legacy Mortgage Group. Our office is located in Clifton, New Jersey. We are a mortgage broker, which is a lot different from mortgage banks and retail banks like the depository lending, Chases and Wells. So we offer around 40 plus different banks and lenders. So we're not stuck to one underwriting team, one lock desk. We can really tailor which investor we go to based off of your specific situation. We're licensed in Florida, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We're getting New York, North Carolina, Georgia. We're
Wow.
expanding our footprint so we can do the entire state of New Jersey and multiple states as well. The website is legacymortgagegroupinc.com. We have commercial specialists, we have VA specialists, we have divorce lending specialists, we have renovation loan specialists. So we have somebody on the team that really has a specialty in every niche that you could think of.
Wow. Thank you so much, Brad.
Thanks for having me on.
Scott? Dr. Scott?
Sure. Dr. Scott, home at last. We're located in Oradell, New Jersey. We actually share space with a property attorney, so we can actually help with all the legal stuff when it comes to closing on a home. We are truly a senior transition specialist company. We buy homes as is with all the stuff. We can help renovate them, and we can help sell them because we're a broker in New York and New Jersey. With that being said, we'll go as far as Riverhead, Long Island. We'll go as far south as Ocean City, Atlantic City, wherever. And we actually also offer free bridge loans to seniors that would need some money to bridge the gap between their home and a senior living community, as well as we just started doing placement. So we could help place seniors in the right, appropriate senior living community, which is very important because there's such a variety out there, and people need a certain type to accommodate their needs. So, and they get the health care. And for me, and I'm a wealth of resources for healthcare. And I like to pride myself in not just helping people with their move, but also with their health. And that's all part of it. So thank you again for having us, Renee. It was really a pleasure.
Oh, excellent. I'm privileged and honored and privileged to have met all of you. I believe that everything just happens for a reason. When Diane said to me, can we invite other people? I'm like, yeah, whatever, to me, it's like you just have to flow with it. It was awesome. So thank you so much for everybody for joining us. We ran a little bit over, but I'm happy. I hope to have you back on. If you ever have anything special going on, please let us know. Diane has the contact information. Just reach out. We're always love to network and to help you in any way we can. So that's what life's about, right? So sometimes I forget we're on Facebook. Like, we're chatting, but we're streaming around the world. So I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us today. It was an incredible show and really very informative, and I love the compassion and help that everyone has had. So on 3, we always blow our kisses if you feel comfortable. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody. Have a stroke of luck in your life, and have a blessed day. Bye.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo quejaré. Yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo. Yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. El día que caminaste por la puerta, todas las memorias fueron. Mi corazón está vacío, como si tuviera ayer. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. Usted está en mi sueño por la noche. Por favor, no peleemos. Y es tan difícil para mí y para ti. Yo, ¿qué puedo hacer? No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír, no me puedes escuchar. No me puedes escuchar llorar, llorar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar.
Just this broken soul. I'm always a giver, but I'm never known. And I'm just this lonely man, alone on the river with my heart in my hand. The conversation, they're all dead. The lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man, with no idea of where I stand.